Good evening, all the joinees. Hi, this is Ashi. Welcome to the webinar conducted by NGEN Research. By the time others join in, let us have a look at today's topic. Today, we'll be looking at multiple ways of onboarding the clients onto the platform, comparison of portfolio with that of the benchmark, and contribution and drawdown analysis on portfolio level. And at the end, the forum will be open for a Q&A session. Now, this is the landing page of NGEN Markets. Now, there are multiple ways in which you can onboard your prospective client or your existing client that can be done through the client section. The very first way of onboarding the client is via RTA connection that is done through ARN. So you can onboard single or multiple ARN, and you can also find a consolidated view for the same. This is done by setting some filters and forwards on your mail ID. The data that we capture is CAMS data WBR4 and CARBI data MFSD 203, which is updated twice a week. Now, if you want to search for a client's holding based on the security name, this is something that you can do it right here. Now, for example, let us load a fund ICICI Pru Balanced Advantage Fund. Now herein, in the first column, you can see the name of the client. The second column represents the AUM, and third column tells us about out of the AUM, how much has been invested towards ICICI Pru Balanced Advantage Fund. And the last is in terms of holding. Now for Ankit Amin, we can see that the AUM is about 99.36 lakh and complete AUM is being invested towards ICICI Pru Balanced Advantage Fund, which indicates 100% of the holding. On the extreme right-hand side, you can see 5 mutual funds exposure. Now, the first one is ICICI Pru Value Discovery Fund. About 7.54 crore has been invested towards this particular fund. The second highest is towards ICICI Pru Balanced Advantage Fund, which is about 4.54 crore. At the bottom, you can see 2 pie charts representing the complete exposure towards the asset class and the AMC as per the ARN, that is the total ARN based. So herein, the equity has the highest exposure of about 36.34 crore and the least is towards debt about 2.74 crore. Similarly, when you hover on the top AMC exposure pie chart, you would be able to see the name of the AMC and the amount that is being invested. So for example, ICICI Prudential Mutual Fund is being given an exposure of 13.86 crore. On the left-hand side is the list of the clients that have been onboarded via RTA connection. Now, for example, if I load Mr. Pavan Bakshi's portfolio, you can see a brief analysis wherein it speaks about the holding of the client. Also, you can run a detailed analysis for the same by clicking on Run Analytics. The second way of onboarding the client is through manual data tab, which is right beside the RTA connection option. So once you click on manual data, all you have to do is then click on add client manually. You are required to fill in the name of the client. And once you click on add client, you can add as many funds and as many stocks as you wish to. Now, for example, let us take Bandhan Sterling Value Fund, Axis Focused Fund, and let us add 2 stocks as well. For example, Tata Steels and Hindustan Unilever. Now, once this has been added, you can either enter the unit or the current value. It will capture the other by itself based on the NAV. For example, if I enter a value of 3 lakh for Bandhan Sterling, we can see that it has captured the unit by itself. Now, if I enter 2 lakh for Axis Focused, again, you can see the unit has been captured. Now, if I enter unit, that is shares for Tata Steel, you can see that the current value will get captured automatically. And once you click on done, it will load a brief analysis as per the data that we have put in. And also you can run a detailed analysis for the same by clicking on the run analytics option that has been provided. Now let us say your client has an e-cash statement. In that situation, you can use the statement analyzer option, which is right above the RTA connection option. This is the third way to onboard the client. You can upload NSDL, CDSL, or CAMP's e-cash statement, which should be in the PDF format, and please make sure that they are not modified. Now, what you have to do is just click on choose file and enter the password, which is basically the PAN number. And once you click on check file, you will get a prompt saying that it is a recognized file type. Now let us say this is a prospective client for the month of June. You can also add a label accordingly. So let us give it a label as June prospect. And we'll click on process and save. It will appear on the right hand side. So now here you can see the uploaded date and time. Once you click on this report option right here, a report will be generated stating the fund holding and the stock holding. Now, if you want to run a detailed analysis of the e-cash statement, all you have to do is head back to the NGEN Markets platform. And in manual data tab itself, you can see add client from statement analyzer. So once you click on this, all you have to do is click on the plus icon. Once this gets loaded, all you have to do is then again click on run analytics and you will be able to see a detailed analysis for the same. The fourth way of onboarding the client is, let's say that your client has the details of only ISIN number and the holdings. For that, we'll move towards the portfolio section. Herein, all you have to do is just click on this plus icon which states add a new portfolio. Once you click on the plus icon, you have to click on load ISIN from Excel. Now, there are two basic details that are required. The very first column should be the ISIN and second one should have holding either in terms of percentage or in terms of amount or in terms of unit. So I have a sample ISIN along with its unit. I will copy and paste it in the gray box that is being provided. And I will also let the system know the readings of the holding. So I will click on the drop down and I will select units and I will validate the input. Now you can also give this portfolio a name. And you can also select the folder wherein you want this to appear. Then all you have to do is just click on create, or you can directly run the analytics of this particular portfolio that has been created. But in case if you do not click on create, it will not get saved. So first we'll click on create. Once it gets saved, we'll click on run for a further detailed analysis. So these were the four ways in which you can onboard your client. You can use either of these four methods. So these are the funds that are the part of our portfolio. You can also change the start date for the same. Now let us do an analysis for the period of 5 years. Here you can see a graphical representation wherein the blue line represents our portfolio and the black line represents the index. Here reference index 1 has been selected as per the allocation. Now, if you want to check what is this reference index 1 made out of, all you have to do is in the benchmark section, you will just click on search reference indices and you can see that reference index 1 is made up of 100% Nifty TRI. Our platform provides you flexibility in choosing your own indices. You can also custom your own indices as well. Now, we can see that our portfolio was able to beat the benchmark. That is, it is outperforming the benchmark. When we take cumulative return into consideration, which is the absolute return or point to point, we can see that the portfolio has a cumulative return of about 175.82, whereas the benchmark has a cumulative return of 106.41% in the period of last 5 years. Next is volatility. So we can see that the volatility of our portfolio is about 16.72%, which is lesser as compared to that of the benchmark, which is 18.88%, which means at a lower volatility, our portfolio was able to generate a higher return. When we take CAGR into consideration, that is the average rate of return that a portfolio generates annually, we can see that the CAGR of our portfolio is higher, that is about 22.35% in comparison to a benchmark having a CAGR of 15.49%. Next is Sharpe ratio. So Sharpe ratio is risk-adjusted return. It tells us how well the portfolio was performing in comparison to the risk that it has been taking. So higher the Sharpe ratio, the better it is. We can see that portfolio has a higher Sharpe ratio, that is about 0.87 in comparison to the benchmark that is having a Sharpe ratio of only 0.49. Next is cumulative excess on benchmark. Here we can see that the cumulative excess on benchmark is positive 69.41%, which is basically the difference of the cumulative return of a portfolio with that of the benchmark. Next is up capture ratio. So up capture ratio tells us how the portfolio was performing when the market was in bullish trend. Here we can see that the up capture ratio is 110.29, which basically indicates when we consider benchmark to be 100, it indicates that if the benchmark was up by 10%, our portfolio was up by 1.10%. Once you click on this eye icon, you will be able to see a month-on-month bifurcation for the same. Here you can see the cumulative return of our portfolio was 64.58, whereas the cumulative return of our benchmark was 58.55. Now you can see that the data of December 2019 has been provided, and next was April 2020, which basically indicates that between these months, there was 3 such months wherein the benchmark was generating a negative return. So we can conclude that up capture ratio only takes into consideration those returns or months wherein the benchmark was generating a positive return. So when you divide 64.58 with 58.55, it will come up to 110.29. Next is down capture ratio. So we can conclude for up capture ratio that higher the up capture ratio, the better it is. Similarly, down capture ratio tells us how the portfolio was performing when the market was in bearish trend. So lower the down capture ratio, the better it is. So considering benchmark to be 100, we can see that if the benchmark was down by 10%, our portfolio was down by only 8.5%. Once you click on the eye icon, you will be able to see a month-on-month bifurcation. Like we were able to see that Jan, Feb, and March were not including because the benchmark was generating a negative return. It is something that is being reflected here. So we can see Jan, Feb, and March, wherein the benchmark was generating a negative return for all these 3 months. Now, the portfolio has a cumulative negative return of 31.95, whereas the benchmark has a negative return of 37.16. When we divide the cumulative return of portfolio with that of the benchmark, it comes up to 85.97. Next is monthly statistics and yearly statistics. Now, when we focus on monthly statistics, we can see from start date till now, that is 11th June 2019 till 13th June 2024, there has been total 61 months. And out of these 61 months, there were 44 such months wherein the portfolio was up and 17 such months wherein the portfolio was down. And the same is being given in the form of percentage. So it was up for 72.13% of time and down by 27.87% of time. The average return that it was generating while it was up was about 3.97% of time. And when it was down, the average return that it was generating was about negative 3.88%. The best return that the portfolio was generating in this 44 month of being up was 12.93%, whereas the worst return that it has generated in 44 months is 0.1%. When it was down, the least that it went down by was 0.46%, which was negative. And the maximum that it went down by, that is the reason it is considered to be worst, was about 26.09%. Similarly, you can also plot this on the graph that is being given above. So if I drag this, you'll be able to see that in the month of March 2020, the worst, that was a COVID time, the worst that it was generating was about negative 26.09%. And the best return that it has given was about 12.93% in the month of April 2020. Similarly, you can do the analysis on yearly basis as well. Next is contribution. So contribution tells us how the components of the portfolio were contributing towards the overall portfolio. Now the first column represents the component. The second column talks about the total return, which is basically from start date till now, what has the fund contributed. Next is the last column, that is contribution to return, which is out of 100 based upon the allocation. Now, for example, if we take ICICI Pru Large and Mid Cap Fund, we can see that the total return this fund has generated was 174.29% in the last 5 years. Now, suppose if my portfolio just had ICICI Pru Large and Mid Cap Fund, it would have generated the total return of 174.29, whereas its contribution out of 100 was about 55.11%, because if we look at the allocation, we can see that the allocation towards ICICI Pru Large and Mid Cap is about 56.5%. The very last column is something that is given in bar chart as well. So again, you can see that out of 100, ICICI Pru has the highest contribution, about 55.11%. There's also a graphical representation. Once you click on the bar chart, it will get loaded accordingly. Now, like I have selected Quant Mid Cap Fund. Now the total portfolio return is about 175.82%, whereas this fund alone has contributed 340.09%. Now, what we can say is, if this particular fund would have been the part of the portfolio alone, it would have generated a better return. The allocation in the portfolio for this fund is about 6.64%, which you can check it right here. The third element, that is 6.64%. You can also custom your own start date and the end date for the same. Now, based on this analysis, you can change the weightage, or if you want to remove or replace any fund, you can do so. The next is drawdowns. So drawdowns tells us the strength of the fund to recover from the loss. So losses are inevitable in the market, but it depends upon portfolio to portfolio how quickly they are able to bounce back from these losses. Now there are the details of the top 10 drawdowns. We can see that there is a loss of negative 35.57%, which was between 24th Jan 2020 till 23rd March 2020, which is basically the COVID period, wherein the NAV of this portfolio fell from 104.93 to 67.61. And it took total 171 days to cross the initial NAV of 104.93, which basically took place on 17th November 2020. And on the left-hand side, you can see a bar chart representation of the top 10 drawdowns. Here, the gray area represents the drawdown phase, whereas the white area represents the recovery phase. You can plot these top 10 drawdown in the graph which is given above. There are multiple reporting options that are being provided in the platform that can be used to present to the client. The very first is PPT. So herein, you can create a standard PPT, or you can also create an amount-based PPT as well, which can act as a proposal for your client. Now I have entered the amount of 10 lakhs, and once I click on create PPT, these PPTs are completely editable. So in case if there is any parameter that is not being included, you can take a screenshot and you can insert the master slide as well as insert the screenshot that has been taken. Now, the very first slide that you can see, the amount that we have entered, that is a capital of 10 lakh, has been bifurcated among the fund based upon the allocation that has been provided towards the portfolio. Now, suppose if I want to add the contribution tab in our PPT, all I have to do is take a screenshot. So I've entered a master slide, and now here I will insert the screenshot that I have taken. So here I'll take a screenshot of the contribution tab and I will insert it in the slide that has been added as a master slide. So I've copied the contribution tab and now I will paste it right here. And accordingly, you can adjust the size of the same as well, which can be used to present to your client. Also, the other reporting option that we have provided is that of the PDF, which is a 4-pager PDF that can be generated. Once you click on Create PDF, now our PPT and PDF are both co-branded. So on the left-hand side, instead of our logo, you would be able to find your logo right here. So this is how the PDF will look like. All the analysis that we have done is something that you can find it in the PDF. Next is share link, wherein the link can be generated for your client. This will be active for maximum 7 days. You can reduce the number of days or you can increase it up to maximum 7 days. So once you click on create, all you have to do is copy this link and share it across with your client. All they have to do is just paste it in their URL. And the same analysis that we were able to do on the platform is something that will be visible to your clients as well. The last option is client link, wherein a mobile link preview will be generated, and this is how it will look like. So you can see the analytics, you can see the market, you can also see the portfolio analysis for the same. Okay, so this is it for the product related presentation. The forum is now open for a Q&A session.
Any questions, please let us know.
Could you please show us again how you generated the client link?
Sure, absolutely. Ashi, can you please click on client link? Right. So the moment you click on the mobile icon that you see beside portfolio analytics, this is how the link preview will get generated. Now, you can see different tabs: portfolio, analytics, markets, and then the final tab is typically connect. Meaning, once the analytics is shown to the client, you can tell him that, okay, you can write a message like this. Okay, this looks okay. This looks great. Please go ahead. And the message will directly come on your registered email ID that is with NGEN Markets. Right now, to actually create a clickable link, you'll have to follow a simple process. First, click on generate random pin at the top, client pin. Simply click on generate random pin. A random pin will get generated, and then you need to go at the bottom to click create client link. The moment you click on that, a client link will be created. In this case, these are desktop links. Please go beside that. That's the mobile links. This is where it has gotten created. You see the name of the portfolio is June. The date when it was created is 14th of June. This is the random pin. And you need to click on that message, small message icon that you see beside that particular link. The moment you click on that, this clickable link will get open, and you have to simply copy the entire message and send it across to the client, either on his email, or for that matter his WhatsApp. The reason being we cannot share it as SMS is because there are these DND features that could be active, which blocks us from sending us bulk messages. That's the reason you need to go and click on that message icon and copy this entire thing from Ashi Tiwari till 7059, and then send it across to the client either as a message or as a WhatsApp message, or a email on his email ID, right? And once he clicks on that particular HTTPS, the entire URL, the preview is what he will see on his mobile phone, the one that we just saw. This is the procedure of creating a client link for a portfolio analytics.
Got it. Thank you.
Welcome.
Hi, I have two questions. One is
Yes.
the procedures that you have shown all over, all the procedures. Are they documented somewhere, or are there videos available for future reference?
Absolutely. So we have a product guiding tool that is typically created for which typically highlights every single tab and its utility. That is there on a Word document. So we could arrange to share it across that on your email ID. Additionally, we have recorded videos, right, for all the different webinar topics that have been conducted until now. And even this webinar's recording will be uploaded. The link to our YouTube channel is right there into the platform itself. To see the videos icon, you simply click on that and you'll be taken to our NGEN Markets YouTube page, wherein we have created a dedicated playlist for webinars. Of course, these will be predominantly 40-45 minutes each, including the Q&A, of course. If you are short of time and you want to have a look at quick shorts, like 1 minute shorts, then we have also uploaded 151 NGEN shorts, which will typically be about a minute each. So you could definitely review and look at that as well.
Understood. Thanks. Second question is, you showed a feature where I can go back historically, let's say 5 years, and see how the portfolio of my client who I have onboarded has performed.
Yes.
The question is, let's say my client just started, investing 3 years back, but I am choosing a 5-year period. How does it show? Does it show like the current portfolio? How would it have performed if the client had started 5 years back, or how does it show?
Sure. So typically when we onboard a client portfolio, we never capture transactions, right? You will see we have never captured investment dates, or for that matter, investment prices, right? So irrespective of whether the investor has started investing a year back, 3 years back, or for that matter, 10 years ago, you can typically choose what you want to display as the portfolio start date, right? So it will be like a hypothetical portfolio backtesting from a time in the past, right? So you could choose a time as per requirement and then show the performance of the portfolio, which typically will be the performance of the portfolio which is consisting of these 7 funds. So predominantly it will be a performance of these 7 funds, of course in the customized allocations that you have given, right? It will not be a portfolio XIRR that we are speaking about, because for that transactions are required. So this is not a XIRR that we are speaking about.
Okay, so what I understand is basically it is only showing historical performance of the funds that are included in the client's portfolio,
Correct. Current
and not
holdings.
based and the analysis does not represent the client's amount invested and its comparison.
Yeah, amount invested could be added, but yes, it does not tell you what all the client has already sold off, right? His XIRR return, that it does not show. That's because we do not capture transactions.
Okay.
Amount can be incorporated, as Ashi was just showing, right? If it's a RTA connection that you have done, right? That means all of your ARN, or for that matter, RIA code clients are already onboarded. Then you can, of course, into the bracket see their amounts, right? Of course, these are current AUMs, right? The moment you click on any particular client and click on run analytics, it will default take into consideration the current amount that is there in the client's portfolio. This will of course appear when you click on create PPT. Default amount will get captured. That is basically the AUM of the client, right? This will come by default, but this is of course current AUM that is invested.
Understood. So I was just basically thinking about how this feature would be useful for me to, talk to my client or add value to my client. So just thinking of the use case over here.
I'll just come here quickly. So normally what happens is that, so whenever you go and talk to the client, you take the current holdings on which you do the analysis, and you present in front of the customer telling that whatever profit and loss he has done till yesterday is fine. But he does not know that whether he should be holding all those 7 funds in next 5 years or not, and whether those 7 funds that you are suggesting him, whether those 7 funds, which of the funds have not contributed enough, and you are suggesting something else to be added into the portfolio. So the purpose of this analysis is to make sure that the customer understands what kind of value add he can do in next 5 years time that can bring in a better return in the portfolio that he's holding. So that is the way a model portfolio is created, and that is the way a portfolio comparison is done with the model portfolio, and that is the way a proper model portfolio is shown in front of the customer, shared with the customer, so that he can invest fresh and take a new look on his investment. Whatever has been done till yesterday, he has to forget whether he has done profit or loss. We don't deal with the transactions, but we will tell him that what he should be doing in next 5 years and what are the holding he should be holding now to make sure that he makes a decent return in next 5 years time.
Understood. Thank you.
Excuse me. In the RTA connection option, right? So you're
Yes.
not capturing the transactions.
Correct. We are
So
not
there's no
capturing the
way I can see
transactions.
the portfolio IRR.
Yes, that is exactly what I said, right? So
Right.
XIRR of the client's portfolio is not something that is shown here. That's because we are not a back office platform. We are a
Right.
front-end research analysis platform. We have given you a RTA connection facility so that without a lot of efforts, you can get all of your client holdings in one place by using this complementary RTA connection that we are offering, right? So that you can
Right.
have a list of clients in one place, and you need to simply click on them and the analytics runs on the fly.
Got it. Thank you.
Hi, I just wanted to check, do you include AIF's structure and PMSs in this report?
Okay, so typically when we onboard a client from a ECAS that we are uploading, what we capture is only stocks and mutual funds, right? AIF, PMS by default do not get captured from his ECAS statement, but there is a way that you could analyze ECAS. There's a way that you can analyze AIF and PMS. That is using our My Securities tab. That's right there at the bottom after the portfolio section. The moment you click on My Securities, it will let you onboard AIF, PMS, or for that matter, any non-standard asset that at least for the least has a time series and a price series attached to it, right? So for an example, we have created an example of Abacus AIF. The moment
Okay.
you load that, it will basically just require you to just provide the system with time series and the NAV series. And once you load that, this is how the statistical quantitative analysis is possible with the help of my securities analysis. So basically performance comparison with a benchmark of your choice. Again, it can be changed to whatever is required. You can check up capture, down capture ratio, excess that it has generated over the benchmark. You can check rolling returns analysis of this particular security. Drawdowns, scenario analysis, which is typically important, right? So when you click on scenario analysis, you can typically check, okay, during COVID times, or for that matter, demonetization times, right? What happened in this particular security when you compare that with the benchmark? So that could be checked. So anything and everything that can be done with a time series and a price series, those analysis could be replicated using this My Securities tab. The rider here is you will have to provide the system with the data, because as of yet, we have not got a centralized database provider for all the PMS, AIF, and such non-standard assets.
So we can send you the name of the AIF and the details of the AIF for creation of the master, right? Of the AIF master, and then we can
Ma'am,
upload.
that's not required. You simply have to have just 2 columns in an Excel sheet. You would have an NGEN Markets login. You simply go on the My Securities tab and click on the plus icon. That data need not even come at our end, because this is typically what you need to do at your end itself, right? The entire tabs are enabled.
The small screen is not visible very clearly, actually. That's why I'm not able to understand
Sure.
what is.
Sure. Ashi, could you please download the example file that you can see right there? Yes. We will show you how it looks like.
Yeah, please.
Okay, so this is an example file. Let it get loaded and I'll show. Okay, so these are the only 2 columns that you're required to have. First is time series and second is the NAV series. So for AIFs, typically these are available. The frequency also need not be daily. It could be a weekly frequency, or for that matter, even a monthly frequency. With whatever is available, you simply copy this from an Excel sheet and go back on NGEN Markets. The moment you go on NGEN Markets, you paste it here in the white box. The moment you do that, you say what is the asset class that you want this to be mapped as. Let's say this is equity AIF. So you'll say asset class is equity, and then you'll click on validate. The moment you click on validate, all of these points are going to be captured like this line chart here. All of these points have now gotten plotted, right? And you need to, before going ahead, you need to give a name to save this security. Let's say this is a EIF example that we are creating. Example one, right? And then you hit on save.
Okay.
Right? Let this get completely loaded. You will see the entire screen, what is displayed right now, disappear completely. That is an indication that the entire security has gotten saved. Before that, please ensure that you're not clicking anywhere else, because otherwise saving of the security becomes a little bit of a problem like this. So this is your indication that, okay, the security that I was saving is now completely saved. You can then load it. Just search at the top, or for that matter, there are 3 buckets also: equity, debt, and others. You can definitely find it here as well. So EIF
Okay.
example 1 is what we had loaded, and this is how the analytics will look like.
Okay, and structure would get captured automatically from the CAS, NSDL CAS?
What do we mean? What do we mean by structure? Can you please be a little clear?
There would be some private, structures issued, right?
No. We just mentioned, Prajakta just mentioned, we only capture mutual fund and stock from ECAS.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. And
Yeah.
structure cannot be included in this My Securities, right? Can that be done here under this My Securities?
In My Securities, any non-standard asset class which is having time series and price series can be captured. It can be your real estate structure. It could be your some other structures that you have. Any of the guy who has made it. Any manufacturers has done it. So anything can be added into My Securities which has price series and time series.
Okay, and we need to upload this, update the values regularly over here.
Absolutely. You can just upload the value and you can revalidate again and save it as a new security.
Okay, fine. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Is there any more questions? Ajatta, if there is no more question, can you just wind up, please?
Sure, sir. Over to you, Ashi. Please close for today.
Thank you for taking your time out and joining in. You can visit our YouTube channel and find a dedicated webinar playlist that has been created. Today's video will be released by next week. Thank you, everyone, and happy weekends.